Hey everyone, my name is Annalee and my partner is Sam, and we're going to be talking about capture techniques for the Florida panther. We will compare three methods that we researched to determine the best one for everyone involved. So we used some criteria for judging what exactly the best method means. This is our triangle for criteria, going from most important at the bottom to least important at the top. We wanted to mainly focus on the safety of the animal and the safety of the handler because of the ethical guidelines for trapping. So currently the only method used right now is using trained dogs to chase and tree panthers, which are then tranquilized and captured for radio collaring. Scientists have to evaluate conditions and safety, of course, before they just shoot the animal with a dart, because they want to ensure that there won't be any unnecessary negative impacts. As noted in the video, they can either wait for the panther to fall onto a stretched net or a mattress on the ground, or they can send someone up with a harness to retrieve the cat. Hounds are very efficient and effective in the sense that they only target their one species, the panther, which doesn't leave any stress to any of those non-target species that we're not trying to affect, which saves so much time and makes the process much easier. It was also noted that there was a significantly lower mortality rate with this method than any other technique noted throughout the literature, which is very important for the safety of an endangered species. As great as hounds can be, there is still plenty of problems with this one method. These cats are huge. They can weigh anywhere between 50 and 150 pounds, so getting that out of a tree is not always safe for the animal or for the scientist. It's also hard sometimes to evaluate the safety of situations, which could lead to anything going wrong. Obviously, another problem is falling out of a tree, which has happened before, and a mountain lion has died because of it. Panthers can also get tangled in the tree once they've been tranquilized, which could cause them to hurt themselves or even suffocate. Of course, there are plenty of problems with people falling out of the tree or even getting hurt from the close contact with the panther. So we wanted to try looking at any alternative trapping options. So we explored some techniques from jaguars and the panther's cousin, the mountain lion. We used these cats because they're very comparable. They're all large cats that like to climb trees and they hang out in forests. Some research mentioned box traps and foothold traps, so we decided to evaluate these methods.
Hi guys, now we're going to move on to box traps. No, not that kind of box trap. More like this kind of box trap, but it has to be really, really big. Big enough to fit a mom and her small child, or just a Florida panther. Box traps are made of wire or wood, and then they're disguised with some vegetation you can see in this photo here. And then they're baited with some yummy deer legs hanging in the back. Box traps are triggered by a pressure plate at the end of the cage near the bait, and this is important that the pressure plate is far enough from the sliding door to reduce injury to the animal. Box traps are safer because they are on the ground and the animal can be better evaluated for sedation. There is less injury to the animal with some modifications like a cloth or plastic covering any sharp points. Box traps can provide shelter in one area, making the cat safe from harm and in a known place for scientists. And lastly, it's easy to transport the equipment and has the added benefit to transport the animal too. Box traps are a great tool for capture, but some of their faults lie in faulty opening. This video shows a very agitated mountain lion in a box trap meant for a fox. Her captor later opens the cage in the worst way possible and did not consider his safety and just opened the flap without precaution. If the animal isn't properly sedated, there is a danger when opening it. The cage should also be the right size, as you can see in this picture. The cage is much too small for the cat. Box traps are also limited to just one spot that isn't a guarantee the cat would go into because they have such large ranges. And lastly, same as the video, box traps has a large potential for bycatch. This can only be adjusted by the pressure plate's sensitivity to heavier animals if you want a big cat. Now moving on to foothold traps. Footholds like these are made of metal clamps and spring-loaded platform which can close very quickly with a lot of force like in this video. You don't want this for your cat. Instead, you want a foothold with modifications such as padding, a drag to not stay in place, and swivels also to aid in safety. Like I mentioned, footholds are great with all their modifications. They are easy to transport and set up on site. But that's really it. Can you tell we don't like footholds? They don't like them either. Footholds can cause many problems, and this video illustrates an ill-fitting foothold with hunters that have no idea what to do. This cougar is scared and desperate to break free and ends up injuring itself. Here's an extreme example where a panther was left too long and tore off its foot to get free. This panther later died. This is another example of an ill-fitting foothold. Overall, footholds can cause harm or death, can cause unnecessary stress, must be removed on site, which can be troubling, and are limited to open areas if you want to reduce injury risk, and pressure pads aren't completely subject to catch panthers. Now time for our evaluation. After looking at each of our criteria, we determined that training with dogs was the best technique. Why? Because when compared to the other two techniques, this proved to be the most efficient and safe for all parties involved. This technique is the best when these are our sources. And thank you for watching. And please feel free to leave us a comment or question down below. Everyone is properly trained.